Hello, everyone. Well, you know it wasn't me this time. Your girl Ericka was on time. I've been on a roll all day. Took my medicine, ready to go at it. Come on here. But it was Todd Millie. We're going to blame Todd Millie because Todd Millie was late. He was on CP time. Okay. So, everybody in here, thank you for coming tonight. Make sure you're dropping your city and your state. Why? Because it lets us figure out where to go. And just from the data behind the scenes, PayPal, numbers, Stripe, we have so many viewers from Palo Alto, Mountain View, and Sunnyvale in California that are buying stuff that we're going to personally make sure I get up there and I do a meetup group or a meetup there in July, week of July. And we're putting the responsibility on Todd Millie to make sure he puts together a meetup group event in Los Angeles. So, you guys, are you ready for this? This is almost like a threefer. We're going to squeeze them in. We're going to get these topics in. But long story short, tonight's topic is Lil Duval's viral comments on credit. And I'll share the video. I'll let it play twice because I know people act like they can't hear it. And then two, talking about what are renters' rights, right? Does the landlord make the rules or does the renter make the rules? Now, but that third one that people been all week talking about, should you have 10K in the bank or should you be debt free? Y'all know me. I'm sometimes like Dave Ramsey before you, Robert Kiyosaki, but I would love to hear this chop up between you guys. So anyways, let's get it on in here. And I'm going to open it up. And I would like first our newest guest to the show to introduce himself, if you could please.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. This is outstanding opportunity. My name is Jamar Myers Montgomery. My students call me Doc Montgomery, and I teach political science as well as economics, and have an engineering background. Just do a little bit of everything. I'm heavy in the cryptocurrency world and in the blockchain space. And yes, that's part of my passion. Part of my passion.
Now you guys know how dangerous it is. You know me about crypto last year. You know the rant, and I'm bringing them home. So okay, but go ahead, Todd. You introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, so my name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd Millionaire, founder, director of Todd Capital Investment Club, founder of Todd Acquisitions. Also, we just acquired a mobile barbershop, so looking to roll that out in the Atlanta market, and also looking to acquire some more stuff. We're looking at an 8-unit. We're looking at some duplexes, so always in the hunt of acquiring more cash flow. So that's kind of what I've been doing. And yeah, out here in downtown LA, living the dream.
So you guys, listen, yes, already in the comments, you're already starting pettiness. Yes, there's 63 people in here. Make sure you hit the like button. Yes, I am still taking a summer sabbatical. So for those of you who are on the email list, you already know when your girl hit Italy, don't ask me for nothing. Go check all the coupon codes. We have WCW as the coupon code. It'll get you 50% off everything except the Smartphone Millionaire book and the Facebook group. So it'll get you 50% off everything else. Charles' last name is Oglesby. Charles Oglesby.
Not Oglesby.
Spell it for me because somebody asked in the comments.
No, I always get, hey, professor.
So
it's not that.
So yes, I'm wearing the Todd Capital shirt today. I thought it'd be an ode to like the 10X of tonight.
Yes.
But let's go show everybody Lil Duval's hilariousness. Since I've been on celebrities all day. This is my Instagram page. Oh wait, I actually got to share it with you guys so you can see. Sorry, my bad. Let me get over here. And I'll try to play it extra loud. Hopefully it'll work. Hopefully we'll have no problem. If you don't hear it, we'll turn it up all the way up 190. So this is my Instagram page. You guys already know. Plenty of good stuff on there. My motorcycle, all my good stuff up on there. Those were, Charles, I got to stun on them a little bit. That's all my investors getting their checks and their thank you letters. You got to show them the checks. But we're talking about Lil Duval, so we're going to go here. And let me know if y'all can hear it. If not.
I don't even know my credit score because I buy everything straight up. It's good. That's another thing. Like, I don't agree. I don't know why people care about credit so much. Oh, you don't care about real estate. No, even with real estate. To me, with real estate, if you can't buy it, don't get it. That's in anything. Like, I don't understand, like, why do we feel like we have to get loans on something or Just save up and get it. And it even makes sense even when you sell it.
It's your black excellence privilege.
Even before that, dog.
Some people without money need to worry about their credit score because they ain't got it to save up.
Well, let's say this: if all I got to save is $5,000, I'm gonna buy me a $5,000 car. I'm not gonna buy nothing that's gonna put me in payments. And then when I get some more money, I'm gonna buy that. It's really that fucking simple. I don't know why people feel like you gotta. All right, I can't afford to get it, so I'm gonna get a loan on it. Well, I ain't got no good credit. I don't even know my credit score because I buy everything straight up.
It's good.
Like, so that's another thing. Like, I don't agree. I don't know why people care about credit so much.
What do you mean? Oh, we don't care about real estate.
No, even with real estate. To me, with real estate, if you can't buy it, don't get it. That's like anything. Like, I don't understand. Like, why do we feel like we have to get loans on something or just save up and get it?
Okay.
And it even makes sense even when you sell it.
It's your black excellence privilege.
Even before that, dog.
Some people without money need to worry about their credit score because they ain't got it to save up.
Well, let's say this: if all I got to save is $5,000, I'm gonna buy me a $5,000 car. I'm not gonna buy nothing that's gonna put me in payments. And then when I get some more money, I'm gonna buy that. It's really that fucking simple. I don't know why people feel like you gotta. All right, I can't afford to get it, so I'm gonna get a loan on it. Well, I ain't got no good credit.
Okay. All right. Y'all heard it. Okay. So you already know I've got comments. Mentor Shelly up in the comments. People in the comments. You know, the original post on this, I think it has actually 3,000 comments. Might be more by now. And some things that it was saying was, if you realize credit's only important in America, right? And outside of America, it's different. Now, some people are saying his view is based on his income level. But to me, I would even put him in the category of what immigrants think when they come here. Because in their country, they ain't got credit cards. Some people in certain countries don't have credit cards, or they have basically very high loans from their banks. So they think I save it till I can get it. So I definitely want to start with Mr. Dr. Montgomery. What are your thoughts on this comment today?
Well, you know, if you can beat a bank, and you could pay yourself interest the same way that you would utilize that money to hopefully the same way that you would 4, 10, 12, 15% interest, you can pay yourself. It's funny how all of a sudden we become goofy when it comes to applying the same principles that don't help us, but we could apply those same principles to help us. So if I got $10,000 in the bank, I could make a move right there at that time. I mean, credit is important because that's the system we live in America. At $2,000 in the bank, you are the bank.
Right. And so I wrote the Smartphone Millionaire book because I was talking about how to invest in people, businesses outside the bank, right? Like making that money work for you outside the bank, because that's all it is. You can make that money do anything you want. But Charles, I didn't know your feelings on this today. What was your thoughts on this today?
So I have a few things, and I'm going to outline them first and then kind of go to them in detail. But the first one is I saw a post, and it's something that we've discussed, I think, on my show, and it was this concept that you don't have a credit problem, you have an income problem. I also saw something that said something along the lines of like, a lot of people go into debt because their lifestyle is greater than their expenses, and so they meet that with debt. And then something else that I've just seen is how we had this easy credit to cash type community where people were going out, and some people agree or disagree, and they're ramping up their business with these business credit cards and then investing in their business idea with credit. And so the issue that I have with that is, instead of focusing on the fundamentals of building a strong business, you're focusing on skipping steps. And I don't want people to use credit to skip steps unless you're putting it into a hard physical asset that you can feel and touch. And so that's really the difference between I think that's where I draw the line. If you're using credit to buy a truck, using credit to buy a house, where worst comes to worst, you can liquidate that asset, that's okay. But you shouldn't be using credit to buy liabilities. You should be using credit to buy something that's going to appreciate in value. You shouldn't be using credit to buy something that, in marketing, for that matter, unless you know you have a forecasted ROI. So for me, when I was listening to it, it was just interesting because it made sense. He was like, if you can't afford to buy a $40,000, $50,000 car in cash, don't buy it. Buy a $5,000 car. But for me, I'm like, your mindset has to be on elevation. Your mindset has to be, okay, I need to get to that $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 car. And if you really think about it, if you drop $5,000 in that car, you have no car payment. So you should be able to save and invest and progress forward financially without that debt. I think that in a lot of ways we use debt to fill up our inadequacies, which goes back to the you don't have a credit problem, you have an income problem. People are using credit to make up their lack of work ethic. They're using credit to make up their poor financial management skills. You have to get the baseline, and that's what using cash makes you do. To use cash, you got to ramp your income up, which means you got to become better at your profession, which means you have to become better at your craft, which means you have to bring in more customers. That's going to make you a better person, credit or no credit. So that's kind of like my overarching ideas. One of the things that I wanted to really say is I'm not a fan of the either or, either credit or cash. Like I think we have to do both. We have to be great at both. We got to be a community that has good cash management skills and good credit management skills. I don't like the either or. I don't like the. I like all the above. So that's kind of where I am.
I think this is real good.
Well, the crazy part about it is, here's my thing. I've sat and kind of watched the cycle go through here on the internet where people are like, their personal credit is a dumpster fire. It's just terrible. But they think, well, I'm gonna go around and get this business credit and I'm gonna be able to do all these things. And I've even heard, I've had people on the show literally tell me, yeah, I lived off of credit cards for a while. And so people think other people are living well when really they're living off credit cards. They're
Right.
not, they're not really making the money. They're just, I mean, and this is when I feel like push comes to shove where people are not going to really have the grit that it takes to make it because that they didn't have to make a hard decision. When you
Right.
don't have a credit card, you're going to have to work that second job. When you are short on income, you're going to have to work.
Right.
And or you're gonna have to get creative. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like you hear so many stories of people in real estate who had to get creative. Like so many people in the comments were like, well, how can you have a business or real estate? Easy. Pre-sale. Like,
Immigrants do it all the time.
yeah,
Exactly. You have to get creative. You have to use teamwork. You have to use all these different things that aren't the quick and easy, but that doesn't mean it's not doable just because it's not. You can go to the bank and get a loan. Immigrants do it all the time.
And our people have been taught, especially poor folks. Like we've just been taught that this is the particular way that we go about things. You go get a good job. You make sure that your credit is straight, and you try to save. But I absolutely think that every tool that's available for building wealth, we should utilize it. Whether that's
Yep.
credit, whether that's cash, whether that's real estate, all of the above. In fact, own it all, own everything. Um, but if we look at the focus as having a good credit score as the end
Mm-hmm.
all be all, I think it's misguided and we misjudge what the true application of it is. Credit allows us to leverage, right? So if I'm able to get, if I'm able to make that, have $100,000 in the bank and the bank is now willing to lend me out a million or two because of that $100,000 in the bank, well, it was great to have that $100,000 in the bank. And it comes down to making sure that we understand the purpose that we have all these tools is for building wealth.
I think one of the interesting things about these conversations is we skip over that typically you are going to have good credit if you have the cash. So if you're the person who can save $5,000, save $10,000, you're probably doing a lot of other things right. And so that's why the conversation's always kind of I like to deal in the reality. I like to deal in like this is where we are now. That's why when people had that whole would you rather have an 850 FICO or $300,000 conversation was just
oh
dumb to
my
me because
God, that drove me
most
crazy.
people, right, it's like most people don't have either. So we're over here talking about like what we wish would happen, and then after we exhaust all this energy talking about something, then we got to go back to reality. I'd rather just deal in reality from point blank and just say how can we improve our reality. So
Well, usually what I be telling people about like getting higher paying jobs, they get so offended. They're like, it's not that easy. Even in my comments here, some guys like, it's just not that easy, right? Or, but I just know so many people, once you get about 60,000, 70,000, if you really focused on it, you could knock out your car payment in a year, right? Like Glenn Cameron says it really, he's like, if you're making 100,000 a year and you got a car payment, you got too much car. It's facts. I mean, if you got a Lexus or something where you're going to say, hey, Eric, I'm going to break it down over 24 months or 36 months, I get you. But like, to me, unless you're just trying to build like this credit history, which, you know, I put in the links, the credit repair business, of course. And why did I put that? Because in this recession, again, there's two ideals of school, right? There's going to be either the Grant Cardones, who's like 10x, and then you're going to have, buy assets, income producing assets, or you're going to have the Dave Ramsey, who was like, I can't make more money, so I'll just pay down this debt. I'll just get rid of it and pay it down, which is what people do.
I have a problem with the it's not that easy type folks, because why do we only have to do what's easy? Why do we always have to take the path of least resistance? It's something that I hear a lot. It's something I think you might have. I think that was like the very first comment in the post that you posted. I think you might have posted that, and you said, "Oh, well, it's not that easy." And I challenge people to stop aiming for the path of least resistance and aim for what's difficult. In fact, as a culture, I think you have to specialize in doing what's difficult and doing what's hard. If it's math, then go master with the difficult, because that's where you're going to see the true progress. That's where you're going to see the separation. So, I mean, that's just a mini rant, but yeah.
Well, also too in the conversation, a lot of people were like, well, you got to manage because, you want to build, get real estate. And somebody said right up in the comments, let me see if I can find it up here. He was like, really? You don't need credit to buy. I own over $1 million in real estate, never got a loan. And most of that is because I'm pretty sure this guy, if I'm not mistaken, he invested, or he has a lot of creative financing. And when you start meeting several people, you'll start seeing that they do. They usually have creative financing. They don't have, what's the word? They don't have traditional loans. I'm trying to find the thing you posted. I guess you posted in Blacker Pockets. I probably need to go to Blacker Pockets. Hold on. Let me see here.
Well, I feel like that's a rich dad principle in itself. I think like chapter 2 or 3, chapter 1, one of those is like the rich invent money, meaning that it's kind of like what I've done with Tide Capital. It's like I invented this stuff. I had this idea. I pulled people together, and I was able to accomplish what I'm on something right now. 7:50. She really just interrupted my flow to ask me the time. She was being insistent about it. Anyway, so I forgot what I was even talking about because I had to tell her what time it was.
Oh Lord.
Shout out to public transportation.
You're saying you created
Right. So I feel like that is where your mentality has to be. That's what Nita's done. That's what Charm City's. That's what anybody really, even Kendra, if you look at Kendra's strategic way of owning real estate, it's all through creativity. And I posted something on the internet, and it said, it was something I took from the book, The Miseducation of the Negro, which is, I think, a book everybody should read. I'm not sure if Akai's read it, but he should, and he should encourage his students to read it. Yeah, and so he makes this point that you can't, it's kind of like, you don't, well, okay, so he gives an example of the person who opens a restaurant, and then somebody else opens a restaurant right next to him. And the whole theory is that a lot of times people are copycats. And you if you look back on history, you see that the wealthiest people have created something new, not competed for what has already existed. And so I think that the problem with the get a good credit, pay with credit thing is that everybody's flooding that path. And so it makes the margin smaller, it makes the opportunity lessen. Whereas you have people who are doing things creatively, so they're creating investment clubs that allow them to do what they want to do. They're creating trucking groups so that allow them to do what they want to do. They're creating hedge funds. They're creating all these different things. And that's where the true wealth is for people, is in the new and the novel, not in the tried and true that has been turned into a red ocean.
For sure. And the thing about trucking, what really struck me is, again, if you talk to any Black person on the street, they have some uncle, some cousin, somebody who owns a truck, who's a truck driver. But if you actually see the amount of ownership in that industry, you have 3.5 million truck drivers, but only 380,000 own their truck.
Right.
And so, like, the more I looked, when you got 30,000 Sikh Indians coming into the industry in 2 years, those people are from a culture that own things. They own businesses, they own trucks, they own whatever, right? Whatever they touch, they're going to own, right? That's how the hotel industry is now 48% Indian, right? So, and so I was telling people, I saw that niche in trucking, and it made a point to me to like, I can give someone jobs. I can make sure this person isn't closed out of the market. And that's kind of what I see happening. I see a lot of, unfortunately, African Americans and Hispanic men being closed out of the trucking market because, you know, they changed the rules. They changed the rules about speeding tickets. And unfortunately, a lot of people have speeding tickets, right? So they changed the rule about drug tests. Instead of a P test, now it's a hair test, you know,
Right.
so, you know, I saw
But-
the change on the wall, and that's why I was like, I have to work with people to get into this industry.
But interestingly enough, none of that applies to people who own the truck. You
Yeah,
can smoke as much weed as you want and own the truck.
Well, you know, I'm gonna have to insert my crypto plug into there, and blockchain plug. One of the things that we have as a people have been on the behind the eight ball is new and developing technologies, or adopting new and developing technologies. And um, we talk about like Uber, we talk about Lyft, we talk about the internet, we talk about these companies, we talk about these networks, and now we have an opportunity for us to be available to be involved in it. The problem is being that it's new, we're only looking at it from a financial perspective, not the fact that, oh, if I get involved in blockchain, I now gain another set of skills, such as programming skills, that allow me now to be able to be the next titans of tomorrow. So it's not just about um, it's not just about the fact that we are behind the eight ball, but we're also behind the eight ball in terms of developing our skills. And when we say the miseducation of the Negroes, like that is truly what we've been: is miseducated on finances, miseducated on economics, miseducated on mindset and development and personal development. So yeah, I just had to throw my plug into there.
Yeah. I think another thing that we've been taught is to devalue ourselves. And I think the book mentions that. But I was listening to Dr. Clyde, and he was talking about how people think like Uber, IPO, billion-dollar company, trillion-dollar company, and people don't realize like black people been had our own Uber. It just didn't look like Uber. People out, and I realized, I was like, man, I remember I read that book by Damon John, and his first business was he just bought a car. He had a car service. He would pick people up and he'd drop them off. Yesterday, I was leaving the office in downtown, and there's this little Hispanic lady sitting at the bus stop. And then this little like hoopty pulled up. It was like horrible paint job, hoopty old like police car. And she got in the back of the car, and I was like, that's a car service. And so I think that unfortunately you have a lot of people who are trying to fit into a system that isn't really created for them to fit in. And so they never fit in, and then they never think that they're valuable because the system's not for them. So I don't mean to go on a rant, but that book is really deep. I'm reading that one book, Color of Law, which I don't really think it's all that great. But I think that if we're talking about I think that approach that Lil Duval is preaching, people are going to fight against it, but it's the true path to progress, is sacrificing, becoming frugal, getting your cash up. Because one of the things that I think people need to really grasp is, even when you have money, that doesn't mean you got to use your own money to do deals. So it's like, just because you have the cash, that doesn't mean that it's time to blow it. Even if it's on an asset, you should still be trying to do creative financing deals. Even if you get rich, Donald Trump isn't over here like, damn, I got $1 billion in the bank, let me use my $1 billion. Like, no, he's still going to the bank. Rich people utilize other people's money despite if they have it or not. And so I think that those skills come from accumulating, sacrificing, becoming frugal. And I think that's something we have to instill in the community, because the credit is a shortcut. And we always hear about the people who have the credit. We never hear about the people who blew it. Everybody talks about when their credit score is high, and nobody talks about when their credit score is low. So you're getting misinformation. You don't realize like there's two sides to the coin.
Well, people don't realize that credit is just a tool, right? So I'm in these Facebook groups, and people will be like, my credit score, you know, they're taking screenshots of their credit score left and right. And you're like, well, what are you going to do with it? And then I don't know how to explain it to y'all, but the anger, the like backlash of the, like, when I ask them what they're going to do with it, what do you mean I'm going to do with it? I work hard for it. I'm like, bro, calm down. All I asked was, what was you going to buy a business? You going to buy a house? Or you just want to show us your credit score to make yourself feel better? To me, that's silly, right? you're sitting here showing me a credit score, but you don't know how to use it. So it's useless. It's a tool, but you don't know how to use it. So, I mean, it's very much, the funny thing is there's a book, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but it was saying most business owners either have like no credit or low credit. And it was saying because a lot of times they'll pay everything off. So then they're coming with like zero. Like prime example, we had a guy in the apartment industry. He was building a house and he wanted to rent an apartment for us for 90 days. Can I tell y'all this guy had no credit? He was building $1 million house. He had cell phone design patents and he had no credit score. So the apartment him to give a double deposit.
What did they use to qualify him? Did they discounted him based on his credit or what?
They gave him, they were like, well, we don't want to be difficult. Just bring us some bank statements. He literally brings in a bank statement. It's showing that he's got like 600,000 in one account, and then he's got 50,000 in a savings account. And my manager was like, "This is stupid, girl. Just approve that shit. And let's go." Like, she was like, "Who needs to see that, right?" Like, you know, there's a rule of in Austin, because we had so many tech people come in the town, that if a person has 3 to 6 months worth of, like, let's say the rent's $1,000. If a person has 10 grand or they have 6 grand in their account, you're supposed to allow them to lease the apartment. Because what would happen is a lot of these people were startup companies or they'd be small business owners and they'd have no credit because they weren't, you know what I'm saying? They weren't trying to, like, they don't have, their car was paid off or they just moved from California, but they had lots of cash. Right. So again, I'm more on the side of, whoa, we need a whooping over there.
I know, huh?
You about to get this belt and she don't even know. Hold on. We're gonna mute you for a minute, Charles. So the thing of it is, what cracks me up is because the people had cash. It was like, how can you turn somebody away that has cash? And so that's why I think Airbnb grew even more, because Airbnb, you can just, as long as you can put it on your card, you ready to roll. So I got Charles on mute. Whenever the kid stops yelling, just let me know, Charles. I'll take you off mute. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Montgomery?
You know, my grandfather was in a similar situation where his credit was worse than his wife's credit, but he was the one with all the assets. so you know, to hear that is not surprising, being that, you know, yeah, definitely as business owners, it's like they're so used, you know, business owners who aren't utilizing business credit oftentimes don't have the credit history that's needed, because like you said, they're paying everything off. So for me, it's been interesting seeing, you know, you hear both sides of the debate, but seeing how people who don't have credit have been able to operate and really make things happen, and people who have credit who've also been able to make things happen. But it just all comes down to, really, like we said earlier, creativity and utilizing whatever options are available to us.
Okay, you should be unmuted. Unmute yourself, Charles. Just push the push it. Just talk. Push it on the screen. Let me see. Say something. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on, Charles. Push the button. I'm trying to unmute him. Hold on, y'all.
She done muted Charles. And she has done what somebody else has been able to do. Oh man, enemies are happy for you right now.
Oh, Charles, we muted you. I'm so sorry. Hold on, Charles, unmute yourself. Can you do it? Click it and talk. Is there anything on the screen? Push the thing on the screen. See, Charles, why are you making life difficult? Okay, Charles, I'm gonna put you out and then put you back in, because I'm gonna eject you. Eject you. Come back, Charles. Come back when you fix it. I'm sorry, Charles. I'm sorry. I just was like, I only muted you because that kid was either having a moment or needed to talk. So anyway, okay.
Or needed both.
Hey, you know, a combination. Are you back, Charles? You back? Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
I'm back. What I was gonna say, and the reason why I asked that question is, I used to work for a family office. For those that don't know, a family office is basically a high net worth family that opens up an office to manage their massive family wealth. Um, and so what I found is that at a certain level of wealth, when you start doing big deals, they don't look at your credit score. They look at your balance sheet and your financial statements. And the reason why that's important is because credit is credibility. It's like, how credible are you? So you can prove your credibility by your bank statements. You can prove your credibility by your financial statements. You can prove your credibility by your business's financial statements, your tax returns, or you can prove your credibility by your credit score. So I think that it's not an either or, as I keep saying. This is just ridiculous. I hate
I
this.
mean, like, are they running? What are they doing?
Just being ratchet young parents. I apologize. So anyway, yeah. Let's talk about the next topic. What's the next topic? We beat this one today.
Okay.
I mean,
Oh,
you
go
were
ahead.
you were talking about financial planning, financial wealth, bro. You know people don't want to hear that.
They got the baby's crying to mute me.
Yeah, I don't want to mute you again because then if you can't unmute yourself, then you're gonna be stuck. So over here, Charles put in a post: is it better to have 10K in a bank or be debt free? And a lot of people make it either or, and for some reason they always make it either or, right? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
would you rather use that 10K to be debt free? Hold on, y'all. Pause is my most difficult. Yes. Okay. So anyway, so it says, do you think this is more important, have 10K in the bank or have used that same 10K to be debt free? And I can tell y'all so many times I've heard so many horror stories of people using the last bit of money to be debt free, and then something breaks in their house. Something, they need an AC unit. Something happens. You know, I really believe that it's the most important thing you need is that 10K in the bank, especially if you got little kids, especially if you have a wife. I mean, I just think it's important. And I'll go with you, Mr. Montgomery. What's your thoughts on the 10K in the bank or 10K to use that same 10K to be debt free?
10K in the bank. Cash is king. Cash is king. Cash is king. Yes, it is nice to be debt free. It is nice being debt free. But real talk, who's more important, the debt collectors or you? Who's more important, PGE or you? Who's more important, those bills or you? In fact, you should always pay yourself first, and the one person who should be sacrificing only for your own personal development is you. But 10K in the 10K in the bank, give me the cash. Give me the cash.
Right. I say you have the cash as a cushion and you pay the debt off over time. It doesn't make sense to be debt free and broke. So it's like, if that's the alternative, then we're gonna have the cash. I'd rather you have the cash and the comfortability that comes with having the cash than be free from just having people like call you. Like, you could just block them. Block them. It's like Jay Morrison says. He says if he messes up on a deal, if he said when he was in the streets, if he would mess up in the streets, he'd be dead or in jail. But he's like, if he's doing business, the worst thing that can happen is they'll send him a letter. So it's like, I'd rather just get a letter and deal with the letters and have that peace of mind that comes with having a strong 10K in the bank, because we've seen the stats. The stats say that most people have less than 1,000 to their name. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to break that cycle. And then it's like, once you have that cushion, you qualify. That's why the first baby step, the very first baby step, is establish $1,000 worth of a cushion. If anybody's familiar with the Dave Ramsey baby steps, you have to have that cushion, because if you don't have the cushion and you pay off your debt, the first thing you're gonna do when you get into a problem is go right back into debt. And so it's like, if you're broke and you pay off your debt and then you got to buy a car, what are you gonna do? You're gonna take out a loan. Or if you have a medical emergency, you're gonna have to take out a loan. Or if something goes wrong with your car, you have to take out a loan. So I think that, like, long-term holistic view is get the cash, get the cushion, and then start building. It's a strategy, and I don't think it's a one and done. But it was like a no-brainer for me, especially depending on what their financial situation looks like. You gotta stack it.
So Grant Cardone always says money doesn't sleep, but it does get bored. So my thing about when people say I gotta have 10K in the bank, I usually tell people I usually put myself personally, I put my money in bank certificates that I know I can liquidate. And I know people go, well, how would you do that? You just have cash. And I'm like, because the cash sitting there doing nothing drives me crazy, right? I'd rather have cash in a lending club or some type of note making some returns. But I know what happens. People have cash in the bank. They feel a little free. They feeling themselves. But if you see a study say that when you swipe your card, on average, you spend 10% more than if you were to pay cash. Like cash hurts. When you touch cash in your hand and you leave it, you can feel the difference. And so really the thing of it is um, thinking about cash. Like when you have to actually count out how much cash you have, you will get more serious about that.
Honestly, if you look at the comments, I think most people kind of got it. They're like, I'd rather have the cash.
All right, gotcha. So another one is, we got Todd Millie. Don't want to miss this train. We don't want to make him miss this train, but I definitely want you guys to see this one. Oh wait, I stopped sharing my screen. Hold on. This one got a lot of heat over here. He said, sticks and stones may break my bones, but a renter's words will never hurt me. Renters have less rights than the owners. In fact, a renter's rights is what an owner says they are. So I busted out laughing, right? Like I thought this was the funniest thing. And of course people are like, not New York. How dare you? Illinois.
Not in California.
State, huh?
I said, not in California, not in New York.
Not New York. This is false, right? So something we talked about before we got live is I would love for Mr. Montgomery to say what you said earlier before we went live about the contract.
Well, the funny thing is like I'll be the culprit of this. I was the culprit behind that post. The other part of the post, that the part that was cut off, it says the owner's rights, the tenant's rights are within what the owner says and within enforceable limits of the law. So, anytime anyone hands you a piece of paper to sign, you are not in the advantageous position. Anytime that they hand you some paper, you're signing over some of your rights or some of your freedom, and people forget that. So yes, even though you might have the stronger tenant protections in states like California and in California and in New York, the reality is that if the owner decides that he doesn't want to rent to you, that's his choice, or that's his or her choice. And they could put in things in the contract that are advantageous to them and disadvantageous to you. As long as it's within if it ain't illegal, then it's really what the owner says. So I think people get caught up on the fact of like, oh, well, what you're saying, I don't have any rights. No, what I'm saying is that you don't have as much power as you think you got. And the power
What was the motivation of that post? What motivated you to post that?
What happened is I was thinking about like how guys get caught up on like what somebody says about them. I'm like, dog, you don't have to feel any type of way. You own your home. Can't nobody kick you out of nothing. So anyone talking about you or having something to say about what your situation is, hey, I own my home. I go about my own business. I make the rules in here. So yeah, you got house rules, but when you're the one that's paying the mortgage, you're the one that's already paid the mortgage, paid your house off. Now you're in a much stronger position than anyone else that is in a renting position.
Right, and that's the goal. The goal is always to push people forward, not to accommodate them in their low level of life. Like that's why I say the things that I say. Like I don't want you to be comfortable being an employee. I don't want you to be comfortable being a renter. I don't want you to be comfortable being a victim. If I have to insult you to bring you to that level, then so be it. You're just gonna be mad, but you're gonna be higher. You're gonna be happier, and your family's gonna have a better legacy. One of the things that I always tell people is, because I was going back and forth with a lot of people in the comments, and they're like, oh, well, you don't know, in California and New York is different. I was like, weren't we just talking last week about that whole building of women who got evicted? The whole building got evicted, and they're over here complaining.
In New York.
In New York.
He was like, oh, sorry. He was like, I'm done with this. I gave y'all free rent for 2 years via this government program under Obama that gave y'all checks. That program is over. So guess what? Y'all have 30 days to exit property
Right.
in New York, y'all.
In
So
New
don't
York.
miss me with that New York BS. But go ahead. I'm
And
sorry.
see, and that's the thing. And I'm glad you chimed in, but that's the thing is, like, the post doesn't say that tenants have no rights. It says they have less rights. Um, it says exactly. It says renters have less rights than owners, and everybody interpreted that post to say that tenants have no rights. And so even in harsh states, at the end of the day, it's always going to be the owner that has the most rights. At the end of the day, if they want you out, they're going to get you out. It might not be in 10 days, but it might be in 45. It might be in 90. But at the end of the day, you got to go. And so even if you're a squatter, at the end of the day, you got to go. We had a squatter situation where I knew that we bought the open property and there's a squatter in there. And technically squatters rules would indicate that they have a right to stay there if they start paying bills and they start kind of establishing a tenancy. But that's even limited and restricted. But what I did, because I knew he didn't have any right to be in our property that we had the deed to, that he had no right to be in, I just changed the locks. We boarded it up and he could never come back. We dumped his stuff outside in the trash and he had to go. I didn't go through some legal process. Like, I was like, we have the right to be here. If anybody challenges it, we have the paperwork to prove it. So I feel like what really frustrated me about that is it reminded me of what I see on Twitter a lot. When I'll make a statement that is more forward thinking and more like, you guys rise to the occasion, and I see people defending low level activity. That's one of the things that frustrates me about social media, and that's one of the things that frustrates me a lot of ways about the comments on the Blacker Pockets page, is people will defend being a loser, and I hate that. Instead of challenging people to win, we defend being a loser. And I think it's the most lamest thing. Even if you have excuses, even if you have good reasons, even if you can completely justify, you should not defend it. You should do everything to not be in that position. So that's just how I feel.
Well, you make a excellent point, Charles. They don't even know that they're losing. That's the thing. If you don't even know your position, you don't even know that you're losing, and that's the problem. And I see that with teaching uh, just how government works, that if you don't even know what your interests are, then you don't know when you're getting taken advantage of and when you're getting screwed. So if you don't know that you're losing as a tenant, then it just says, you know what, we have a lot more work to do in educating the people, and that's what
Right.
makes these podcasts and our seminars and our meetups so critical and so important, because we're close to the people and we're able to educate them. We know better, and they actually have a opportunity to see someone that they know up close and personal, mindset shift, and knowing how the rules work, how we can make them win for us and how we could win as a result. But if you don't
One of
know
the
that you're losing,
right, right. One of the points, because I think this ties in together, is we were talking about ownership with the trucking industry, and one of the things I wanted to say, and this is, I can only speak from like a real estate ownership position, not a trucking ownership position, but owning the property isn't any more difficult than renting the property. It's like you got to choose your hard. In certain ways, being a landlord is hard. In certain ways, being a tenant is hard, because you got to have somebody who's on your head on the third of the month, waiting for that thing to get paid. I was talking to Tokes, and he said that in California, you have to the 15th to pay your mortgage, and so as a tenant, you got to be out by that time. They give you a 3-day notice, and then you got to be out if you don't pay on the third day.
Oh, in
And
other
so,
states, it's 21 days. You're
yeah,
not late on your mortgage till 21 days.
right. And so people, I think they don't even really know how easy and advantageous it is to be on the ownership side. And if they did know that, they would pursue that as opposed to being comfortable being the tenant and being the employee. So,
Well, even here's the thing. I don't have a problem with jobs. I keep telling people I'm not anti-job. Some people have amazing jobs. They find purpose in their work. But when you don't invest the money, it's like you might not even have the job, because as soon as
right,
that job stops or they let you go, you're going to have a problem. And the reason I was going so hard on this channel and trying to educate people and a lot of sales, money is important, yes, but it was because I was seeing the same thing happen over and over again to people who should be smarter about it, right? Like this whole thing with, if you know you're on some government program for 2 years in New York and it's saving you $1,800, which Andre Hatchett can explain this whole story better. if it's saving you, you know, because rent in Brooklyn was like 1,800, you guys in the comments. And so we were saying for 2 years, if you hadn't paid rent in Brooklyn, New York for 2 years, you saved up $43,000, right? It saved you essentially, you know, $43,000. And the problem is these people didn't even take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And the whole thing when it comes to renters, so prime example, somebody said, how do you know if people have dogs and cats? And I can't believe they're charging deposits for animals. And I was like, an animal is not a person. An animal scratches and poops and pees and tears a place up. And I was saying something our family does is we have pest control and we come and remove air vents for people, right? Because we were like, oh, we got a brand new AC. We want to make sure it keeps working well. Well, of course, what happens? Our handyman tells us what's going on in the house. Our pest control guy tells us what's going on in the house. And people be so hot because we'd be like, pest control said there was a cat in his way. And they'd be like, oh, damn, you know? And so what happens is, you know, I'm even now in apartments where people are complaining and I'm like, you can't complain. You do not own this building, right? You're just a renter and you'll be out if you don't pay. Same with TSA contracts, TAA contracts.
I think what frustrates me about all the complaining and the whining and the, oh, I can't believe they're doing this. Like the solution is just own it, period. Like I'm not really big on, I put out a post. I was like, your success in life can't be contingent upon somebody else doing the right thing. Your success in life has to be contingent upon you doing the right things. And if you do the right things, you should be able to win, even if they do what's wrong. And that's why I promote all the things I promote. It's like, I'm not trying to get rid of racism. I'm not trying to get rid of any of that stuff. I just got to make sure that I do the right things despite all that other stuff. Power is the ability to get things done despite resistance.
Well, did I tell you about Georgia? What happened in Georgia? There's like a bunch of people mad in Georgia because a racist dude owns like 40 homes in the black community. And everybody's like, I'm so angry. And I'm like, are you going to move?
They should move.
No, you ain't moving, huh?
They ain't about that life.
You ain't that bad.
They aren't about that life. They're about that ease.
So especially in parts of Georgia where houses are freaking 80,000 and 150. Every time I do a show, somebody on the show goes, Ericka, houses in Georgia ain't that cheap no more. It's Atlanta, Georgia. I keep finding whole houses for $200,000.
You just got to drive a little bit.
5 times bigger than other areas. You guys are just coming up with excuses down there.
Well, what happens is that you want comfortability, right? So during the 2008 recession, right, nobody was really hiring, but there were people who were hiring if you were willing to travel a little ways out, right? That's how I made it happen. And the fact is that it just comes with sacrifices. And if ownership is important to you, then you're gonna do what you need to do in order to become an owner.
Exactly.
You know, I had to make choices between where I wanted to go as a result, as far as, you know, what opportunities I was going to take advantage of. But whichever one put me in a less powerful position, I wasn't taking, because it meant no ownership. And it's just so much power that comes in having ownership.
Right. It is. It really is. I think that one of the things I was going to say is, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that single dude who owned all those properties might have been working on behalf of an entity or a group of other people. And even if he wasn't.
Well, I think his whole story was he worked in a group of people and he had a lawyer, he had an accountant. They all were white nationalists, but honestly, they weren't breaking any laws. Georgia was like, they're not breaking any laws. What do you want us to do? They aren't unfair to tenants. They don't have any records of them being racist or like doing racist things to tenants. The heat works, the lights work. We can't get them on anything. What can we do, right? So that was the thing, because everybody was protesting, but it was just kind of funny. It was like,
so I don't mean to cut you off. I only have a little bit more time, but I'm reading this book right now called Color of Law, and it talks about how like there's this combination of the laws that created segregation and then also like public acts, and they all talk about like, oh, you don't understand, it was the government. And I always tell people the government's just a bunch of people. Like, it's not this mythical force out there that's out there just moving things with an invisible hand. Like, no, it's just people. And you beat groups of people with a group of people. You don't meet groups of people with individuals or with protests or with trying to get them to go against their own self-interest. And I think that's one of the things that really frustrates me, is to hear people say like, oh, well, the laws, you don't understand the laws, or oh, this. It's like, it's always a way to win. That's why.
Allow me to add this piece in there. As somebody that is part of the system, right? Not on top of the other stuff I do, I'm a public defender for the juveniles, right, for kids. And we always complain about the system, but we are the system. We are the government.
We are the
If you
system.
don't take a part into it, then somebody else is speaking on behalf of you.
Yep.
We are the government. The government ain't like Brother Charles said. The government isn't this ethereal being. The government is people doing things. And if you don't recognize what your interests are, if being powerful, if you don't understand what what having power is, and exercising power is, then of course you're going to be lost. Of
Right.
course.
And also
And
the funding behind the government is it's a big ass crowd fund, which is what I tell people. They take taxes, a little bit of taxes, so you can still live, but you can still pay into the system, and they group it together and they start making big moves and pushing things around. And so I always tell people, like, the response to that is to create your own system where you invest systematically into a process, and then you start making big moves where you say, like, hey, we want this 8 unit, the 8 unit is done. Hey, we want this school built, the school's done. Like, that's how you do things. That's how you make things move. That's how all these schools have these huge endowments. Like, there are no problems when you work together. There's only problems when you have a bunch of individuals going against people who work together. That's a problem.
Charles, guess what? Guess what? Somebody just now in the comments, I said the houses in Georgia are under 200,000. They said where? Literally, Miss Grant said facts. I'm a GA realtor. Another person said, yeah, I'll connect with you. See, this is what I'm talking about. When you speak up and say, hey, I'm looking for something, I'm looking for a particular thing, or whatever it is you need, it appears. It appears. You have to actually open your mouth and say, I'm looking for this thing. Now, prime example, what Charles was talking about is this post. Is where the landlord called the woman a dumb A blank N-word. Now he owns 375 properties in Virginia. So he's like, I go to court every day with people like you. I don't care. She moved from New Jersey to Virginia, but she's just like a clerk in a store. And I was like, why would you move to a whole other state without any skills? So now you're in a position where this man done called you all kind of ugly names and you can't move because you don't have the money or the skills. And so this is some things I'm always like, when y'all are talking about y'all moving south, y'all got to move south, but make smart moves because now you got to really put up or shut up, right? And she's like, I got kids, and I'm like,
There's power. There's power. If you were in a community where 40 people live in a community that the property is owned by somebody who doesn't like you as a collective, and all 40 of you move, then what happens to him? His business is done. His business only exists because you continue to pay him every single month. And not only that, you protest for the right to pay him. That's what really frustrates me. It's like, you really are protesting for the right to give somebody money who doesn't like you? That is like
your hard earned.
That's like textbook. What do they call that theory?
Munchausen syndrome or Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome.
That's textbook Stockholm syndrome.
Well, that's basically what happened in the South. You had whole parts of towns where, my grandpa had a juke joint and it was the place to go because it was his nightclub, and what ends up happening is you're arguing for the right to go take your money to somebody who does not like you just to be like, I'm done on them.
It's really retarded. I don't understand it.
So anyway, but I know, Charles, you got to run at some point. I had sent Andre Hatchett. We were talking about New York rental laws. In the comments real quick, I'll read some of the comments before you leave, Charles. Someone said, where's my shirt, Charles? Someone said,
ask them if they paid if they paid, send me an email. If they did not pay, they can find that shirt at www.gumroad.com/Todd Capital.
It'll be in the link. Somebody also said, Charles, sometimes the stuff Charles says burns me up. I don't get defensive. I shut my mouth and remind myself that I have work to do. I mean, that's the truth, honestly, because y'all, people get mad, but, Tiffany Keller said, if it ain't illegal, it's regal. And that's the truth. Your landlord will try to squeeze by everything. I remember as an apartment manager, I had a lawyer look at me and say, I'm not signing this contract. It's terrible. And I was like, you either sign this contract or you don't move in. That's your choices.
Right.
And he was hot, yo. He was hot.
He didn't have any power in that point.
He didn't. That's the choice.
He had no damn rights.
Especially in Texas. Like Texas is even, Texas is very pro-gun, but now they even have, in the contract, you can't walk around open carry. And it take, some apartments are saying that. And I was like, when that happened, I was like, it's time for me to go ahead and get a house. I am not going to play those games. Ericka will wear her pew 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 with the shirt off or under the shirt. I don't care. Like that's an infringement of constitutional rights. But
So
again,
Andre C. Hatchett, man. What does the C stand
Bill,
for?
what up,
I
baby?
think it stands for like Cornelius.
Cornelius Hatchet.
No, it's Churchill.
I like that too. That's dope, man.
Oh, your mom wanted to make sure you
Winston
get all the good
Churchill.
jobs.
You should just go by Churchill. That's dope, man.
I should. That's OG, right? Sir Churchill. Oh, Sir Ratchet Churchill. Yo.
Are you in Atlanta?
I am, yep.
Okay, cool. I got to get you the information.
I'm trying to go see our barbershop. You tell people we got a barbershop? You told America?
I definitely told them that. We got to figure out what we're going to name it.
Babe, I tell everybody.
So, Andre, I was just talking about.
I literally tell everybody I talk to, I got a barbershop. Everybody
That's dope.
knows.
I love it.
I'm very proud that we did it. And I'm very proud that we did it together so fast. Now, with the question, like, okay, I got 500, I got a G here. Like, let's get this job. I'm very proud of that. Black people working together quietly.
There are no problems when you work as a group. They don't exist.
Sam, you can just go so much further, so much faster. And it feels really good.
Andre, I was telling them that somebody was saying in the comments you can get a house in the South for around in Georgia, Atlanta for around 200,000. And they like where? And a realtor straight up popped up in the comments was like, "Yo, here's my number." I love it when people just.
Yeah. So I'm buying a house. Hopefully closing tomorrow. Should have closed today, and it costs $229 downtown, or not far from downtown. So yep.
That's the thing.
They are out there for 200. They are not in New York though. That's why I left.
Okay, it looks like I lost Akila and Carlos Oglesby, but I'd like to thank them both for being on the show. They both were more than welcome to be here. But essentially what we were talking about earlier, Andre, was we were talking about tenants' rights, and people were getting mad because I was telling, really the rights you have are whatever they give you. It's like he who owns it makes the rights. And that
listen. The best thing you can have is a rude landlord. You know why, Ericka? Because it will force you to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It will force you to be uncomfortable. Man, buying a house could be a pain in the ass sometimes. Especially if you're self-employed, like all kinds of stuff come out the woodwork. You can get outbid on offers. You can have a bad inspection and waste $500 that you'll never get back. Like all this stuff. But after it's done, that house goes nowhere forever, or the foreseeable future, man. I'm just surprised and a little disappointed that we aren't acknowledging this country and what it's been about. It's like, fam, why do you want to put yourself and your family through that?
Because it's easier. It's easier to not do the hard thing. That's really the truth. I mean, it's really easy to like, oh, I gotta save for a down payment. Then I bring Kendra on and I'm like, here's down payment assistance. You don't have to have that. Oh, well, then I still gotta do this. And it's like, I love when people say I'm keeping my options open. And to me, moving every year for 10, 12 years, I mean, what options are, you know what I mean? Like, what kind of options do you really think you're having other than new tenants, new people?
Man, listen. And here's the flip side of it, Ericka. When you realize in a major city, we spoke about this before, how hard it is to get an apartment if you don't have great credit.
Oh my God!
Get an apartment. Me right now, credit-wise, cannot get an apartment in a lot of parts of Manhattan to have like management built, have a building management companies, right? But me right now is approved for a mortgage, and I'll be closing tomorrow.
Listen,
if that doesn't wake you up, I don't know what will.
Well, I was telling them about the women in New York. Essentially, they saved $43,000 in 2 years. No rent for 2 years in Brooklyn. 100 families. Yo, like, did they think that was going to go on forever?
Wake up calls, man. Have the wake up call before they happen, man. Wake yourself up. Wake yourself up. And look, it might take a minute. I've literally been working on making sure my taxes are correct and my credit's been correct for like a hardcore 3 years, like hardcore. And I finally got to this point. So this isn't like, oh my God, it's so easy, just go buy a house. No, it takes work. It takes discipline. It takes sacrifice. It takes going out and looking. But once it's done, it's done. You don't ever have to do it again if you don't want to. Now, I would advise to have at least 2 or 3. But you can have the 2 or the 3 as part of an investment group with Ericka or me or Charles or somebody. But after you do that, after you get that crib, that house is yours and your feelings forever. You don't have to worry about gentrification. You don't have to worry about a mean landlord, a racist, whatever. You are in the driver's seat for the rest of your life. And I know you guys talking about Lil Duval earlier, right?
Yeah.
That dude is that. I mean, it just goes to show you that celebrity does not equal knowledge. And he said, just buy it. How come you can't just buy it? Damn,
well, see, here's the thing. I wanted you to come on earlier because I was like, you were the different view of it. And I was saying, I think he was talking more towards the point of cars. Like he was saying, if it's a $5,000 car, save your money, you know. If it's but a house, even when people are like, well, Ericka, you can't do that with the house. True. But in 6 months to, from 90 days to 6 months, I've seen people get 3 or 4 secure cards, pay off 1 or 2 collections, and jump in a house at 620. I've just seen it over and over. And that's why, I was selling the credit repair business class tonight, but I've been talking about it. I'm like, there's going to be so many people when the recession comes who are like, oh, my credit's so bad, I can't move, I can't buy, I can't do anything. And jobs are now reviewing your credit. So it matters some, but if you don't get in crazy, stupid debt, right? You don't get in these really high interest debt, you should be good to go.
Yeah. It's a whole different life when you are mortgage eligible. Not even like perfect credit, like what I'm like where I'm at now, right? I'm mortgage eligible. Like that's where I'm at. I'm mortgage eligible in terms of FICO. Man, it's actually kind of nerve-wracking if we're being honest with ourselves when we don't have the money and we don't have the credit. Your options are just so limited. If your kids are being bullied at school, you can't get them and move to a new school district. Man, whatever you got to do to get your credit to a fair state so you can own some stuff, do it. Stay home. I was making these videos, and I'm sure people think I'm crazy about how I've been cooking the past, I don't know, a while, but I started making videos about it and staying in the house. I literally have to do that because I have to put the money towards my house that I'm getting. Like, I'm not there yet. I don't have it like that. I literally had to cook, Ericka, to make sure I had the money on deck to make sure, because I got my other mortgage, I got employees, I got shit I got to do. I got you, I got affiliates, like I got people I got to pay. So I literally have to stay in the crib. And it's just crazy that a lot of people won't do that. A lot of people won't do that, and year after year will go by. But now, after this thing is done, I never have to do it again. I can get I got like 1 long-term tenant. My friend is going to stay there until he gets the house in a couple of months, and I can put 1 room on Airbnb, fam, and I'm living for free. I will be living for free.
Yeah.
Free.
I mean, the crazy part is, I say this, and this is not for me. This is not for me advocating people don't pay your mortgage. But a lot of people are like, oh, if you're late on your rent, they're all, landlords are always trying to put you out. And I'm like, yeah, because that's how that goes. But I've seen people not pay a mortgage for a year, still in their home, 10 months, 11 months. It'd be like, it just gives you flexibility because you own it and you can fight for it.
I had a loan modification. I had a car accident in 2015. I had a loan modification for like a year and a half. I was trying to pay it, but if you miss a few payments, then you can't pay anymore. So I literally had a loan modification for like a year and a half. So I wasn't able to make any payments. Had it been a rental, had been a tenant, I would have to be out like in 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 or 5 months out, maybe. I don't know of any good excuses on why you shouldn't own where you live. I heard a couple things that make sense. I move around a lot. My job's different territories. Okay, cool. But for 90% of the population, you not owning where you live, it's a huge travesty of justice. Huge travesty of justice. And I read the whole man. Listen, people tell me that, oh, single family aren't assets, Ericka, and Mills, what up?
Oh,
Single family homes aren't assets, but I'll be living for free for the rest of my life if I want to. I can get a tenant up in there and Airbnb. I'll be living for free in my single family house. But single family homes aren't assets. All right. Okay.
It's funny how people only become astute investors when it's like something that's going to help them progress in life. Like, then they want to say, oh, that's not an asset, so I can't put my money there. But like, what are those sneakers? What was that vacation? What is all that other stuff you spend your money on? But now you want to be, I feel like a home is like this unique type of asset building where it's like not quite asset, but it's not like super liability. It's not black and white, but everybody likes to make it a black and white argument where it's either 100% cash flowing, appreciating asset, or 100% liability depreciating, going to nothing like the car when you drive it off the lot. And I don't think that's necessarily true.
It's a whole lot of gray, man. A whole lot of gray. And it's amazing because we, I mean, how many single-family homes do we have now out there in Detroit? 6?
A lot.
5?
We have 4 for sure. We have 2 we have a duplex, and then I have a single-family home that we're going to partner up with on the group on. So in total, that's like 4, 6, like 7 doors. I count the floors, not just the roof. Like 7
And how many tenants have we had problems with on these homes that like are already rented?
Oh no, Todd, come back. Okay, there you are. There you are.
Have you ever had to like evict anybody?
They had a strike, and so I guess no, we almost had to this month though. But I think it was something that was out of her control.
Okay.
Where she had a strike at her job, but she just told me this morning she's starting to get back pay.
Okay, cool.
So I think that we should be good there.
Cool. So you know, all this stuff about buying in the hood, single-family homes aren't good. But the vast majority of the time, 80% of the time or more, we get our rent on time every month in the hood.
Somebody has to own in the hood. It might as well be us.
Come on, man.
Somebody's gonna do it.
So many opportunities, fam. So many opportunities. You don't even got to do it alone anymore. You don't even got to do it yourself. You could put aside some money every 2 weeks and throw it in a house with Todd, a truck with Ericka, or Airbnb rental with me in Atlanta. Like, you could literally put aside your money once a month, once every 2 months, and keep working your job, but just keep having these consistent things.
And the thing about it is, and like Rashana Scott mentioned, is you might start there, but you don't have to stay there. So you might start investing and getting exposure to real estate through somebody else's group, but that's just the ladder. That's just the layup. That's just the alley-oop to starting to do your own stuff. And so many people have done that. Lance has worked with us for like a year and a half, and now he's out there launching his own company. So the thing is, like, do something. Don't sit on the sidelines and talk about what you can't do, what's hard, what's not easy, what costs too much money, what somebody's not going to let you do. Do what you can do until you can do what you want to do.
And we minimize momentum because I couldn't get my own mortgage last year, so I invested some cash in the group, and now I'm able to get my own house. So, for me having some momentum of keep on being able to buy into assets helps keep me going. It helps me get through the hard times when I feel, oh man, this is crazy. So I just go sure that everything adds up.
Well, let me jump in there real quick. I was just trying to I'm gonna read some of y'all comments. Y'all are going hard. I was like, I don't interrupt them. Somebody said this is a mastermind discussion, y'all. It don't get no better than Ericka, Andre, and Charles. They work a regular job. They stopped clubbing and drinking for a year, stacked up their cash, bought a trading course, and now they trade options for a living and quit their 9 to 5.
That's dope.
You see
Then
that?
another person put, I think Mr. Shelley said, what did she call it? Oh no,
Mentor.
discomfort, discipline, and denial. I think I'll write a book on that. Listen, when people come on my show, we be throwing bars and y'all be making t-shirts. All I'm saying is send me a t-shirt. If you don't steal this, you don't steal the words we throw out. Give me a t-shirt, which
That's dope.
there's 3 or 4 people who have, and I thank you for that. But I just think it's funny. I'm like, didn't IB Investor say that? Didn't this other
That's
person
dope.
say that? And people be like, they straight making a t-shirt. So
Man, some stuff is just so tried and tested. You got to do it. Some stuff is just that tried and tested and proven and friggin' proven. You got to take advantage of it. You got to take advantage of what's out here. I'm just so sick and tired of seeing people getting bullied around and pushed around here and pushed out of here. I'm like, man, miss me with all those conversations because I've been on here on friggin' YouTube for straight 5 years. Go back and look at my videos. Straight 5 years talking about block education. The videos are there, fam. And you don't even have to do it yourself anymore, man. There are no excuses not to be at least partial owner in some homes this year. In the next quarter, no excuses.
So Andre, people are asking where they can invest with you, but I think Andre said a little bit later this year. Secondly, they cracking me up. They're like the intercoms and kids won't let Charles be great. I know,
Sorry
The
about that.
intercom.
but it's
That
all
is
good.
funny.
But I do believe. I mean, the thing of it is you just people are fighting so hard to be treated better in someone else's house. I just don't understand.
Now,
I'm like, get your own house. Like with wealth comes responsibility. And I think people get really mad when I say that all the time. But I don't know anybody who is wealthy that doesn't have some kind of responsibility, whether they're managing a property or something. And people keep asking me, well, how much are you making on your trucks? How much are you making on your trucks? If you don't have 5 stacks or 10 stacks, quit asking. You already know the Hood Estates class. You can learn any of it, right? Hood Estates today for free was talking about every time I get a truck, it's like an extra $4,000 in the bank every month,
wow.
right? And that's super passive with them saying nothing, right? Then they got a Section 8 house. They got it for 13 grand. They put 16 grand into it. Now it's written out for 850. Section 8 in Florida.
Damn.
They turned it around
Forever.
in weeks.
Forever, man. Here's how I look at assets, right? I say, okay, every Airbnb property that I get, it's just one step closer to my parents not having to work. Every asset is just one step closer to that. So if that house brings in $2K a month, okay, cool. That one's $4, that one's $1,500, that one's $50, that one's $1,000. All of it accumulates, and I just think there's no. We talk about bosses and being a boss and all that stuff. Being able to retire your parents, and your significant other, if you're a dude. I don't think there's anything more boss status than that. It all adds up and accumulates.
Do you know how many calls I get from dudes who are like, my wife had a baby and we didn't do the math on her going home. And so we're like, he's so stressed out because he, one, didn't plan for it. And two, it's like, we in the hole. And I'm like, I would feel terrible. I'm not a woman and I'm not a man, but I would feel terrible as a husband if I had to tell my wife, you've got to go back to work and put these kids in daycare because we can't make it without you. Like, to me, that's the worst. And I know people have to do it, but I just feel bad when I hear those stories.
I want to touch on something really quick. I think what we should call what Andre just said, we should call it like motivation hacking. I saw this quote and it said like the way that you take the emotion out of investing is think about your kids, think about other people, because then it's like more about the deal and not about the ego. So there's more about like setting them up, not like so you can go buy some J's or whatever. And so I think that it's really important because investing can get emotional. You could start saying like, I want this particular house instead of saying that, okay, these numbers make sense.
That's deep. Yep. If you think about other people, allows you not to care that you're only getting 5 or 10%. Yeah, I don't care, but that 5 or 10%. But your mom needs that extra $60 a month that you're getting from that 5% of that house. So you're like, oh, you know what? It's good for mom. Yeah, that's not like my kids. Like all that rental income will go to my kids. I'm going to save that money. I'm going to put the house in the trust, and then the money will go to them in 5 or 10 years or 20 years when they aren't even born yet. We need to start planning for our wives we don't even have yet, our kids that aren't even born yet. If you're a dude and you aren't planning for your wife you don't have yet or your kids that aren't born yet, after you watch this video, then you ain't doing nothing. Plan for them. Plan for them now. You know you're going to have them. We know we're going to have them. Why aren't we planning this far ahead? Again, small steps. I didn't say go buy a block. I said put $500 or $1,000 or a few $1,000s with somebody or into yourself and create something. I am sick and tired of us getting bullied around and being threatened by racist landlords. Do we not know how these people are? Did we miss slavery?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the roof? Color purple? Selma?
I mean, just
Malcolm
even
X?
I'm just even now, I just feel like I don't want to have lack of options, right? Lack of money, Charles is cracking up. Lack of money gives you lack of options, right? So people get really hard on credit, but then when I was telling them earlier, I was telling Andre, they like, oh, I got look at my credit score. I'm like, what are you gonna do with it? It's a tool. It's like handing somebody a hammer and they don't know what to do with it. Okay, well, you might hurt yourself or trip over it because you don't know what to do with it. You gotta.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in the comments says, yes, I'm planning for my wife, Ericka. You right. What? Okay, y'all wow tonight. Calm it down. Dre, they also said, are you gonna
Is that a proposal?
Yeah. Every video gets proposed to, fam. Sometimes twice.
Listen, I'm going to Belize to that coffee farm. I might have to find somebody down there. You never know. They said, are you gonna expand it to home away and VRBO when you get at your house, Dre?
Fam, I'm doing everything. I'm doing whatever pays the most money, and I'm gonna get a house every freaking 60 days, right there in downtown Atlanta. I'm about already renovated because I don't really want to rehab anything. Pay between like $200 and $300. I'm gonna raise the money for the down payment, put it into my name, and maybe with someone else's, and go straight short-term rental because you can get so much more money, and or just rent it out by the room, fam. I think that's a nice, safer, long-term. You can you can legit get double what you're paying in mortgage on a low end, a higher end quadruple on busier months. I don't see it going away. I only see downtown Atlanta expanding.
I'm trying to get something in Midtown.
Yep, 30318 and 30316. Check out those zip codes. If you guys need a realtor out there, hit me up. I'll refer you to somebody.
You know what's crazy? It's track record. So Todd Millie did what? 7 houses in 1 year. And then people were like, I'm trying to get in Todd's group. I'm trying to get Todd. Now, when we were talking about Todd's group 2 years ago, you weren't giving him the dollars, but now you see results. You want to give the dollars. Same things happen to me. People are like, oh, I want to partner with you on trucks. You want to get now when it's 7 trucks in. But when I put the original list out, I was like, anybody want to get in? And I'm so grateful for the people who group A and B and C and D. Hats off to you. You guys are the best. It was quick, but I'm just saying what happens is people like a track record. And honestly, it's like, it's a no brainer. You know what I mean? Like us partnering together. If you partner with me and we work together or we go buy a property, like we're just more stronger together, right? We don't have to go by what the bank wants. Like the bank doesn't tell us what to do. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's so. I'm glad that this. I feel like we kind of have like this kind of crew, even us who don't even know each other like that well. We kind of got like this thing, like Hood Estates, us, Kendra, Panji, homegirl from Chicago, what's her name? Rashana,
RS,
Nicole Purvey, like us, kind of like millennial kind of black people who are pro-black and also business savvy, and it's just crazy how like we all know each other. Like we're like 1 degree separation. It's not even 6 anymore. It's like literally 1.
Yeah,
Literally
Terry was
1.
like, I should talk to Andre. I haven't talked to him, but we all know the same people over and over again. And I'm like, when I go to conferences, you're going to see the same people over and over again. Reason why?
Yeah.
The top 20%. It's just is what it is. Like when it comes to like when you, and this isn't insulting anybody or any people. When you start to, I'm not even talking about college. I'm just talking about income and start buying things. It's a whole nother level, right? So in America, if you have 3 houses, you have, like, let's say you have a vacation home and 1 additional, you're already in the 1% in America. So just imagine that, like, so Todd Capital, essentially the company's in that 1% if it was just him owning them all, right? But it's like, if you guys just do the math, Max Maxwell flies planes, right? He has his pilot license. So I was going to do pilot classes here in Austin, really in Georgetown where the airport is, smaller airport is. And this guy said, do you know, like when he was like, what do you do? And I was like, I'm a business owner. And he was like, do you know that people who learn how to fly planes are like in the top 1% of multimillionaires? And he's like, it's just an expensive hobby. You know, what happens is when you go to these conferences, people that are trying to be go-getters are there. I've ran into so many people in the Facebook group at the Social Proof conference, Andre. It was hilarious. They were like, what's up? I was like, you see somebody's face on the internet versus when you see them in person, you're like, oh, what's up? Like, oh my God. So it's very interesting. And that's why and here's my big thing. I think we should meet more off the internet. Like I'm going to California. I'm going to meet Charles while I'm there. But here's the thing. It's like, I've been working with Charles for how many years now? And I haven't met him in person.
2.5, 3.
Yeah. And I work with Dre. Literally, we were doing shows. We were doing courses together. And then finally met him in Dallas. So my thing is, what if they get rid of my YouTube channel tomorrow, right? All I have is my email list. You see what I'm saying? And my blog. And the fact that, of course, there's 5 other ways I can restart other channels. But at the end of the day, I want you guys to understand that this is why I want people to meet in person and connect, because it's just the vibe. It's the energy. It's a vibe. Like when you're in different Slack groups and everybody's like, yo, I got 1,000. I got 1,000. I got 1,000. Like, let's all go. It just moves better.
Man, I tell you, one of the most beautiful sights is just seeing people. You know, I don't even know if Todd knows this, but one of my mentees, he's in the group. He's only 20. He's only 20, fam. He's literally 20 years old, and we have people in the group who are grandmothers.
Yo, two of my investors are grandmas who are like, I want to go ahead and make money. And like their daughter came and I thought, well, how old are you? She's like, I'm 40 years old. I'm like, shut up. So like I have 70-year-old people who like know, hey, this is a good deal. I'm going to invest in it. And so it makes me work hard because I'm like, that just makes me happy that someone's grandparents trusted me enough to send me a check. And every quarter they're going to get money. I'm going to be mailing them money. And it just makes me feel good to know that. So, but I don't want to keep y'all up all night. But whatever, you know, Charles, give me whatever your last thoughts are. And Andre, I'll let Charles go first. Go ahead, Charles.
Man, last thoughts on the spot.
Oh, okay, you want Andre to go first?
No, I don't mind. I got to defer to Andre. See, Hatcher. I would say this. Man, last thoughts. I would just say that my whole goal is to encourage people to be the owner and the employer, and not the tenant and the employee. And so I might say some things that make people angry, but it's all from love because I want us to win. I'm like Kobe. I told somebody, I was like, I care more about winning than necessarily being liked. Like, I want us to win. I don't want you to like me while we're losing. So, like I always say, it all comes from love. But also, I mean, we also got to do the work as well. So we got to do the work. We got to get uncomfortable. We got to be willing to sacrifice because the goal should be more important than our comfort and our happiness, even the happiness. Because I think we kind of have a misconstrued idea of what happiness is. But you guys can check us out if you're looking to get your LLC filed, if you're looking to book consulting, if you're looking to buy some merch. Check us out on gumroad.com/Todd Capital. Also check me out on Instagram at Todd Millionaire or Todd Investments. And also check out Blacker Pockets. It's a community that we're growing. It's going to positive images of African American.
Oh, you're going in now. Hold on. Say the last part. It was Gumroad /Todd Capital.
And they say check out Blacker Pockets. Blacker
And Blacker Pockets. The internet won't let you be great today. Why is it tripping?
Want to thank all of our passengers who participated in
All right, Charles, it's okay. We felt it. We felt it between the babies and the people. We felt the energy tonight. Go ahead and finish out, Andre, and then I'll wrap us up. Go ahead.
Yeah, finish out. Continue to push it forward. Continue to push it forward. As I was saying before, in our group, we have 20-year-olds, like literally 20-year-olds who are in community college and or just graduated community college, and we have grandmothers all investing together. You do not have to do it on your own anymore. Just do it. Just get in the asset game. There are too many people out here who are credible people, who are people who you can check their credibility, because everyone knows each other, and you could just do the damn thing. Doesn't always have to be sexy. And Todd said something before. He said happiness. Happiness is actually, it could be a misguided word. I challenge people to look for personal fulfillment. Personal fulfillment. Like, that's like adult happiness. Personal fulfillment is like adult happiness. Because sometimes people think, oh, I'm bored, I'm not really happy. But is it pushing you forward? Is it pushing your life forward? And hope you guys have a great night. I want to be on, baby.
All right, you guys. I've had a slew of guests on today. We did 3 shows in a row. Don't y'all say nothing else about me being gone today. So listen, you know the summer sabbatical is coming up. Your girl is going on a summer sabbatical. So there will only be shows on Fridays, live shows on Fridays. We might fit in a few Wednesdays. If you want to get text notifications of when those shows go, because you know Skynet won't do it for you, hit that 474747 and text the word Classy Climb. We'll put you on the text notification list. Also, if you want to get the funding course, all the alternative funding, all the different ways we've got funding and creative capital, it's part of, like, if you've been into the Hood Estates Elite or any of the other groups, you've seen this special video I've been putting together, but it is Litty Mit Lit. It's a creative funding course. And I know a lot of you are like, oh, Ericka, I need funding. And this is just the best I could put it together. But I've been sharing the links inside here the whole time. Let me share my screen one more last time for you. One more. It's been a long night.
One more again.
One more again.
One more again.
Okay. And then, but essentially, this is what this screen always looks like. This is what the Big Real Estate Life looks like. For those of you who are wanting the 50% off, WCW, you can put that word in and you'll get 50% off everything except the books in the Facebook group. So again, you get 50% off tax liens, 50% off other stuff. But right now, this is what it looks like. Getting money for your business. Looks like this. Looks like this. And it'll have a ton in here. Talking about credit cards, equity funding, short-term funding, debt, all kind of stuff. You've got 8 videos, 9 texts, 4 PDFs. You got all kind of stuff up in here, okay? That will get you guys right. Now, what else was I going to tell you? I forgot. Other than that, the big, what else? I'm forgetting. Oh, and the investment group course. There you go. How to create your own investment group, creating a private investment group, okay? So you guys have been the best. You guys are fun. Thank you for supporting the channel. But again, your girl has to have a little bit of break this summer sabbatical. Thank you, Charles, and thank you, Andre, for coming on tonight. And this is your girl, Ericka.
How's that stuff that I sent you?
Huh?
How's that stuff that I sent you?
It's very good. Thank you. So I was telling people, you know, the energy is better now. The energy is better. So I was able to do a 3 for today. But thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. And your girl, Ericka. We got Todd Capital shirt on tonight. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out, everybody.
West Side.